Hi, everybody. This is the officially unofficial geek channel, and tonight I'm going to tell you what fans of the Maury Povert show and fans of Wonder Woman have in common. But let's go ahead and let's talk for a minute first. Okay? So, like I said, this is the officially unofficial geek channel weekly, actually it's bi-weekly Flashback Friday, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start by addressing the elephant in the room right now. And that elephant in the room is my shirt. Normally my F-bombs come out of my mouth, but you know what? This week my F-bombs are written clear across my chest. I'm actually wearing a shirt that was designed by an artist friend of mine, Heather Dorsch. And if you're interested, let me show it off first off, okay? So it is, she did the whole thing, the design and everything. It says "fuck, you're a fascist" beauty standards, and we've got this really cool graphic there with the lipstick middle finger, and I love it. And like I said, she has a lot of art, and it's all where you can buy it, all down in the description, so you can check that out. If you're not really keen on the idea of having "fuck your fascist beauty standards" written across your front side, you can get it in a mug, and I actually am considering that. So I might have the "fuck your fascist beauty standards" t-shirt. I might also have it in mug form at a later time, but there's other really beautiful artwork there. One of the ones that I absolutely love is this one that is, she did it as a memorial piece to her cat Isis that passed away during the COVID pandemic. And it's this beautiful cat skull and Rose of Sharon, I believe is what the flower is called. And it's really pretty. And you can find it on probably a couple of her sites there. It's really great. She's a very talented artist, and there's different spots where you can purchase her art on Society 6, TeePublic, which is where I got this t-shirt, and there's a couple other spots, but check the links down below. And she's in the chat. Heather, we don't have anyone in here right now. You happen to be the first person to show up here, and I was just showing off your lovely design here. I am wearing my F-bombs here again. See, this is pretty awesome. So check it out. Links down in the description. Awesome. Okay, so well, I appreciate you, because this is a pretty awesome t-shirt, and I can't wait to possibly get that mug. The mug, I was actually toying with getting the mug before along with the t-shirt, but I just got the t-shirt this first time. Thank you. So let's see here. Okay, so what better person? I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do for Flashback Friday this week, and I had just gotten done reading Metal, Dark Knight's Metal, and one of the characters that happened to have a lot of influence was Wonder Woman. And I was like, you know what? It is Women's History Month. What about I talk about the first appearance of Diana, Princess of Themyscira, Wonder Woman. And yeah, it's really interesting story that we've got here in regards to the origins and beginnings of Wonder Woman. First off, let's see here. I'm never really great at the whole screen share thing, so let's see if we can do this. Okay, so Wonder Woman has had many different looks throughout the ages. This is actually some cover art. It was a wraparound cover art for the most recent Wonder Woman 80th anniversary issues that came out back in October of 2021. Now, Wonder Woman, like I said, has had many different costume changes. We go all the way from the beginning of Wonder Woman. And yes, I'm actually going to talk a little bit, just touch a little bit on that, Heather. Yeah, so Wonder Woman, there's weird bondage stuff in the comics in the beginning. Most definitely is yes. It's what's really, let me tell you something, okay? Because we're gonna get to this. We're gonna get to this, and I'm gonna tell you right now. There is some fun history here. Interesting history. And it all starts with a man by the name of William Marsden. This is him. This dude is the man that basically gets the credit for having written Wonder Woman for the first time, developing Wonder Woman. Now, right when I started this show, I said that I was going to let you guys know what the connection between fans of Wonder Woman and fans of the Maury Povich show, what connection there is there. Okay. What's really cool about this cat here is that he was not a writer. He was not well, he was a writer. He did write things. Just did not start out writing comic books. That's for damn sure. I am opening the RC Cola I plan to drink. Here we go. If that's what you heard. I'm just insider look into to a little extra special glimpse into my life. I did not sleep very well last night, so the caffeine is needed, but that's okay. We're good here. We're good. So, all right. I was going to tell you guys a little bit about Charles Moulton, aka William Marston Moulton, and let me see. Actually, his name, because he uses different names, different pen names, his full name is William Moulton Marsden. And he's known by the pen name of Charles Moulton, which is the pen name he used to actually write Wonder Woman. He actually is, and here it is. He was a psychologist and a professor. I don't know if any of you have ever seen, and I haven't actually seen it either, and I'm hopefully going to watch it this weekend sometime, Professor Marsden and his Wonder Woman, which is basically, I guess, a story, a fictionalized tale of Professor Marsden and his relationship with his wife, Elizabeth Holloway Marsden, and Olive Byrne. But we'll come back to, let's put a pin in Olive and Elizabeth, and we'll come back to them. Okay. So William here, early on in his career, and I got a lot of information from different websites, a lot of it from different websites, from Wikipedia, all this stuff, a lot of the stuff that is not known that is legend about his life, but has been corroborated. She is the first woman, yes. She is the first woman to write Wonder Woman. I believe also one of the first women, maybe not the first woman, but one of the first women to write comic books as a whole. But she is the first woman to write Wonder Woman, but not the first person to write Wonder Woman. This belongs to Mr. Charles here. So Charles was a psychologist and he was a professor. And one of the things, he was also an inventor. When he was working as a teacher, as a professor, he invented, with the help of his wife, Elizabeth, he invented basically the predecessor to the polygraph test, the lie detector. He developed the first lie detector test, which I find kind of funny, because you have Wonder Woman and her lasso of truth being written and developed by the man who basically started the whole, lie detector thing, right? So you've got William, you got Elizabeth, right? And they do a lot of work together, a lot of research together. And through that research, they meet Olive. Now, Olive was, I believe, I've read a couple of different sources, she was one of Charles's students, one of William's students. And she did work with them, and she did do some writing herself. And in the course of her working with them on some projects, let's go for it. Let's just go there. Let's do this. Let's just do this. William and Elizabeth both became fond, and vice versa, of Olive. Olive, vice versa, became fond of them. They ended up living most of the years of their lives together as a polyamorous relationship. So, like, to the point where technically William was married to Elizabeth, but also was committed to Olive. They all lived together. They all had children together. Okay, so like William had children with Elizabeth, right? Cool. All right, that's his wife. And cool as well. He also had children with Olive. Now, there's that whole thing, right? So they live comfortably in a polyamorous relationship, except for a few years of their life after, in a time period where it was very heavily frowned upon, this kind of thing. It's still pretty taboo now, but it was so heavily frowned upon that when they got caught one day, the fit hit the shan, and Elizabeth, freaked out and kicked Olive out. Well, the thing is, Olive left, and then William found out he had cancer. And it really kind of gave them the whole, like, oh shit moment. We really need Olive. We really want Olive. We want Olive to be here because we love her. We want the whole family together. Screw what anyone thinks. So legend has it, supposedly, after tearful pleading from both William and Elizabeth, Olive did come back, and Olive spent basically what amounted to William's final years with him, because he did end up dying of cancer a number of years after first writing Wonder Woman. Here's the thing. This wasn't just two women living together for the sake of a man. Okay. You find that possibility out there and you hear of it. Two women kind of just living together and dealing with this whole polyamory thing for the sake of another man. You also hear about more traditional and more healthy versions of polyamory, but this is one of those ones where it was like, that truly deep down, it wasn't just they were doing this for him. They actually wanted to be together too. And you know how you know that? Because while William died in like the late 50s, okay, Elizabeth and Olive lived on to be 95 and 100 years old each. And they lived together for the rest of their lives as partners. That, a lifelong, right? It's like, well, I sure hope they were happy if they stay together. Yeah. Well, supposedly, when they were, begging Olive to come back, it was as much William begging for her to come back as it was as much Elizabeth. So a little bit more information about let's see here. There's a lot more to the story of William, Elizabeth, and Olive. I would love to explore it more. I may still explore it more. But for the interest of saving time and not having you here forever watching this, let's go ahead and jump into a little bit more about William's career and how it applies to different themes that show up in early Wonder Woman stories. So, you know how I mentioned he was a psychologist and a professor. I'm just going to read something to you I thought was really interesting. So, let's see here. Marsden was also the writer of essays in popular psychology, and he published a 1928 book, Emotions of Normal People, a defense of many sexual taboos, using much of Burns' original research. This is Olive's research she had done for her doctorate. He dedicated the work to her, Holloway, his mother, his aunt, and there was someone else. I'm not recognizing that name, but oh well, I'll have to look into that later. It received almost no attention from the rest of the academic community other than one review written by Olive Byrne herself under her alternate pen name of Olive Richard for the Journal of Abnormal and Social Psychology. So what did Emotions of Normal People really get into that was so taboo? Okay. And, it's one of these things where it's like, if people had actually paid attention to what Charles was talking about, what William, I say Charles because I just read, a bunch of Wonder Woman where he wrote with his pen name Charles. It was definitely a lot deeper, Heather. Yes, it was. Yeah, so it was definitely a lot deeper. And yes, you're on the right track there. More secondary to psychological topics. Yes, definitely. You're on the right track with that one, especially with the reasoning that he had for wanting to develop Wonder Woman. So it elaborated, this whole emotions of normal people work elaborated on something called DISC theory, DISC theory, where it was basically people, the idea of people behaving on two different axes, either passive or what is the word that they use here? Let's see here. Passive or active. So the different letters in DISC do represent different things. We have D, which is dominance produces activity in an antagonistic environment. I, inducement produces activity in a favorable environment. Submission, S, submission produces passivity in a favorable environment. Compliance produces passivity in an antagonistic environment. This is something that basically is the basis for a lot of BDSM, bondage. How would you put it? Exploration. Finding out, are you a D? Are you an I? Are you an S? Are you a C? Yeah. So when you it's believed by Mr. William Marsden here that everyone falls on a certain point of this axis, and this is essential. Where would you put a switch on that chart then? I'm not sure. I'm going to have to think about that one. I'm not sure. Yeah, that's going to require some thought, I think. It's really just, there's these three people were just so complex, and it just seems like it was so easy to just put themselves in their own little world because they had to. And it's because these three people could not be easily, these three people themselves, I think a lot of their theory comes from this need that they've noticed that they've had as well. And he said, Marston, that there is a masculine notion of freedom that is inherently anarchic and violent, and an opposing feminine notion based on love allure that leads to the ideal state of submission to loving authority. Okay. So we get into the idea of Wonder Woman and where she came from. And with the exception of a lot of people, of his contemporaries, Mr. Marsden, William, actually liked the idea of comics. You have the whole comic authority built by one camp of these people, where they're like, no, comics are damaging youth and blah blah blah, and we gotta regulate them, which basically led to a lot of different things happening. One, all the blood and guts left out of comics. Blood and guts and horror went out the window of comics, right? You also had a lot of stuff going out the window involving sexuality of comics. But then you've got, I mean, sexuality in comics, it really depended on like a lot of stuff. And a lot of it was criticizing what women wore and how women acted and all that, because it was not viewed out as proper. We have a whole 10-year time period during the Silver Age where there's no Catwoman. None. No Catwoman. But then you have, on the other side of the spectrum, you have William Marston, who's just like, hey, comics are great. Which I kind of like him. I like him. One, he developed Wonder Woman, right? And then he's like, comics are great. So he's good so far. All right. Yeah. So he did an interview with Olive, who was a writer at the time, kind of a journalist. Not kind of a journalist. She was a journalist. Okay. How he recognized the great educational potential of comics. Have you read the theory that Themyscira was meant to represent an ideal world where people didn't have to be confined to conventional norms of sexuality? Yes, I've heard about that. Yeah, and it makes total sense with what his intentions were involving it. And when we get into a little bit of I don't know if Heather, if you've read any of the actual first appearance of Wonder Woman, but you have women running around in bikini tops and everything like that, which for like the early 40s was a bit taboo. They referred to Themyscira as Paradise Island. There's the story actually comes out right in that first story where Hippolyta is basically telling Diana why there are no men on Paradise Island. But we'll get into that. So basically, he came out in support of comics, and that got the attention of Max Gaines. Max Gaines. Who is Max Gaines? Well, Max Gaines is basically the comics, basically the head of two companies, Handed Publishing. He was involved with All American Publications and National Periodicals. Now, All American Publications and National Periodicals is basically what ends up merging later on to become one DC Comics. In the early 1940s, DC Comics was dominated by a lot of high-powered, super-powered men characters. If there were female characters, they probably were only there to complement male characters, like Hawkgirl or Lois Lane or anything like that. Were there to complement male characters. There were no female characters that could stand alone, stand on their own, without the complementary, without being complementary to a male character. So according to the fall 2001 issue of Boston University Alumni Magazine, it was the idea of Marston's wife, Elizabeth, to create a female superhero. Hi, Elizabeth. Thank you. So Marston recommended an idea for a new kind of superhero, one who would conquer not with fists or firepower, but with love. That was his idea. That was him building upon what she had mentioned, and basically it's reported that supposedly she said, "Fine, but make her a woman." Now, here's the thing. I think we have to actually kind of read this with a little bit of context here. When she's sitting there like there are no female. Imagine this conversation between William and Elizabeth, where she's like, you know what? You like comics so much. Well, why aren't there any female superheroes? Why is it all men? Why is it all them? Why not anything for us ladies here that are holding it down? And he was like, you know what? You're right. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to develop this character. And she's not going to conquer the world with fists and superpower, but she's going to do it with love. When he got done with his little thing about women superheroes conquering through not firepower and fists, but with love, then supposedly she says, fine, but make her a woman. But I think context is key. And I wonder if anyone watching this thinks now or later on thinks Elizabeth's response, fine, but make her a woman, was more like, after listening to Charles go on about how she'll conquer, with love, blah, blah, blah. And then Elizabeth's just like, fine, but make her a woman. I totally see that. As just being one of those things where it's like, yeah, honey, yeah, fine, cool, but just make her a woman. And that's what he did. So Marsden went ahead and went to his buddy, Max. Like I said, Max Gaines. He's the head of national periodicals and All-Star, or All-American, publications. And also Jack Leibowitz, who was also a co-founder of All-American Publications, went to them with the idea. And they're like, okay, you know what? Go ahead and do it. So after he was given the go ahead and do it kind of thing, he developed Wonder Woman. Diana, basing her character on the unconventional, liberated, powerful, modern woman of the day. Yeah. So in a 1943 issue of the American Scholar, Marston wrote, "Not even girls want to be girls, so long as our feminine archetype lacks force, strength, and power. Not wanting to be girls. They don't want to be tender, submissive, peace-loving, as good women are. Women's strong qualities have been despised because of their weakness. The obvious remedy is to create a feminine character with all the strength of Superman, plus the allure of a good and beautiful woman." It is believed that when Mr. Marsden was writing Wonder Woman initially, he was heavily influenced by his wife and also Olive. The bracelets in particular come from a bracelet that Olive used to always wear. She used to have 2 brass bracelets that she always wore. So that was one thing specific that was an influence. But I mean, honestly, if you look at Olive, this is Olive at around the time that they would have met. I think she actually has a little bit of a resemblance to the Black Dahlia, different other dark-haired, infamous beauties of the time. And honestly, I think she has a bit of a resemblance to one Diana Themyscira. My own personal opinion here. Take it, leave it, throw it in the trash if you want to. I don't care. So basically, we all know the story from here. Morrison goes ahead and starts writing Wonder Woman, develops an island, which is a utopia of all women warriors. Um, and then at first, it's really funny because they don't call it Themyscira. It's called Paradise Island. What's really funny, actually, about your question here, Heather, is that there's publications that came out later on that were like, we know the mother of Wonder Woman, and like the mother of Wonder Woman, like who helped create her, and there was like articles that came out right before Elizabeth and Olive died. And they referred to Elizabeth as the mother of Wonder Woman. So it's kind of funny that you would ask that because it's they referred to her as the mother of Wonder Woman, which actually I think it is one of these things where you have elements of Elizabeth and you have elements of Olive that make up Diana. I really do think, based on what I'm reading and I've been summarizing here, like it is a mixture of both of them. It's really one of these things where it was like, yes, this is a guy that actually just really loved both of these women and saw them as being these feminist icons, honestly. Like he saw them as two very strong women that were probably just as strong as he was, mentally, physically, everything. Right. And I like that Hippolyta is something that is not only present in mythology, she's present in other forms of of literature, such as Midsummer Night's Dream by William Shakespeare. You have a character of Hippolyta, who is the great warrior queen who is marrying a great warrior king, Theseus, I believe. Yeah, Theseus. And I love that Hippolyta ends up being the queen of this great warrior nation of Amazonian women, and that she just like kind of pops up in literature in different forms as well. Originally, Wonder Woman's name was going to be Suprema, the Wonder Woman, and they got him to change that. Thankfully, I don't know. I don't like the idea of Suprema, the Wonder Woman, but after all this getting to this point, we do actually have All Star Comics number 8. This here. Oh, we'll get to that, Heather. Don't worry. Don't worry. We'll get to that. The magic girdle. Oh my. Oh my. Okay, so right here, after much discussion of the background of the writer, we are getting now finally to the first appearance of Wonder Woman in All Star Comics number 8. Here we are, guys. Wonder Woman actually is not the centerpiece of this issue, as with a number of different comics of that time period, and even kind of some of them today. There are multiple stories. Typically nowadays, if you have a thicker comic, it's going to be you have your main story and then you have your secondary story. Back then, it could be, more than one. It could be 3, and this is the case here. All Star Comics has multiple tales in it. Now, I learned this whole idea about multiple tales and multiple stories in one comic book the hard way back when I read Batman #1 from 1940 and was like, where's Catwoman? Where's she at? And it took me forever to find the cat, honestly, which is kind of embarrassing. Suprema would have been awful. I'm so glad that they went with Diana. So glad. Yeah, but it was one of the last stories in the issue. Here we go. There she is, introducing Wonder Woman. At last, in a world torn by hatreds and wars of men, appears a woman to whom the problems and feats of men are mere child's play. A woman whose identity is known to none, but whose sensational feats are outstanding in a fast-moving world. With 100 times the agility and strength of our best male athletes and strongest wrestlers, she appears as though from nowhere to avenge an injustice or fight a wrong. As lovely as Aphrodite, as wise as Athena, with the speed of Mercury and the strength of Hercules, she is known only as Wonder Woman. But who she is, or whence she came, nobody knows. There she is. Now, do you see what I meant about her being very much influenced by the look of Olive? Very much so. It's right there. That's Wonder Woman is basically Olive. Olive Byrne. Come on, fight me. Look at that. Okay, so we jump right in to the origin, the beginnings of Wonder Woman, where basically, and these get retold in the Gal Gadot Wonder Woman movie. Yeah, definitely looks like her. And these get told in the Wonder Woman Gal Gadot movie, except they push back the war time period. If you've watched, and I know most people have probably watched the Wonder Woman Gal Gadot movie, it gets pushed back to World War I, where in reality, in the beginning of Wonder Woman, right now, it is World War II. Specifically, what year is this? This is All Star Comics came out in December of 1941, guys. Do we remember what happened in December of 1941? History class! History class! America was sleeping. Everywhere. And all of a sudden, like a thief in the night, in December of 1941, December 7th, specifically, 1941, was Pearl Harbor. And it basically launched the United States into World War II. So right around the same time that the United States came under attack from Japanese imperialistic Japan at Pearl Harbor, was around the same time that Wonder Woman first emerged onto the scene. My little kitty's here. My little baby boy sitting next to me. I had to pet him for a second. There we go. That in of itself, and have it coming right out of the gate, talking right away about Steve Trevor being a spy in Europe and trying to run down this enemy plane in his own plane, and then running out of gas, and then crash landing on this mysterious island that comes out of nowhere. And you find out he is crash landed on Paradise Island, later to be known as Themyscira. But for these purposes, it is not referred to as Themyscira. It is referred to as Paradise Island. So Diana, who decides and here we go. Here's Diana right here. Decides she digs Steve Trevor after only knowing him to be an unconscious dude from a wrecked plane. Okay, here's the thing. Yes, definitely Wonder Woman is strong, resilient, badass. But yeah, she just kind of falls in love with a unconscious dude. So when it comes right down to it, Wonder Woman, Diana, Princess of Themyscira, Princess of of Paradise Island, falls in love with an unconscious dude. Can't say that I have, Heather. Can't say that I have ever fallen in love with a wounded unconscious dude. But you know what? I okay, alrighty. Well, we'll accept that as a possibility. But I guess you have to build a fierce urgency of now in this situation because Hippolyta is like, you're not gonna hang out with this dude anymore, and she's like, but mother, I love him. So Hippolyta gets into this whole tale about the Amazons and the girdle and how she was given this a girdle by Aphrodite, and then she loses her. She wins the battle against Hercules, but loses the girdle still because she gets tricked out of her girdle. Now, ladies, haven't we all had someone try to trick us out of our girdle? So Hippolyta gets tricked out of her girdle by it's so cheesy. Old comics are so cheesy, but they're so fun. Hippolyta gets tricked out of her girdle by Hercules. Oh my goodness, guys. Yeah, and so then Aphrodite is frustrated and allows the women of Paradise Island to become slaves because you know what, it had to have been the thing is like you made it that easy for him. You made it that easy for this dude to get in your knickers. Really? I'm going to leave you with that for a moment. Okay? I'm going to go over here. I'm going to leave you with that for a moment. And I'm going to go over there. Okay. So basically, we find out that the girdle is not gone for long. The girdle does, we do find out, long story short, that with Hippolyta appeals to Aphrodite and Athena to get the girdle back. And she gets the girdle back and she gets their help. And they go and they put all these women on this Paradise Island. And they have to live there without men. Point blank. Now, that could be the end of the story, but Apollo's like, okay, kid. All right. Here's the deal. We'll examine this a little bit. We'll get down to the heart of the matter. Figure out who is this dude anyways, because this dude just comes here, falls out of the sky in a plane. He's unconscious. Somehow you're loving him already. And he hasn't said a gosh darn thing to you, right? Then, yeah. Anywho, so, and I'm already losing. How much power do I have left on my? Sorry, guys. I'm checking out the power on my battery because I'm not where I normally sit. Okay, let's get into this. All right. So Hippolyta's like, okay, so check this out. We're going to actually go ahead and we're going to use our little magic seeing glass thing and find out what's the deal with this dude. Where'd he come from? So they go through the whole story of how he ended up there. And so then part of that is right. That could be. Yeah. Yeah. There's definitely there's the possibility that, yeah, definitely. Part of that, I honestly think, let's see here. Yeah. I definitely think that that's a possibility. Because the thing is there's elements to this that are so deep here. It's crazy. Little things pop up, and the thing is like you have that kind of like obscured by the fact that it seems so cheesy as well, though. um and that's you gotta hunt for it a little bit, I think, sometimes. But yeah, yeah, so they go ahead, they look through the seeing glass, they find out, everything that happens, and she's like, Hippolyta's like, you know what, I gotta go talk to the gods here, and we got to figure this stuff out, because we got to help this guy. We got to help him get him back, because he's got to help the world here. The whole world is in danger, and he's got to help it. But I got to send someone with him. Can't just toss him back into the ocean here. Which is she decides that Hippolyta decides she's going to have some tournament to decide who is going to become basically this emissary that's going to go with Steve Trevor to help develop, help Steve Trevor save the world, basically. Big shoes, big, huge. Anywho, so we've got the contest, right? And that is attended by Wonder Woman, except for the thing is she's wearing a mask because she's already been told by her mom that yeah, she's already been told by her mom that she can't go. And that's bumming her out. She's like, no, I have to go, right? So basically, we have the great day arrives. From all parts of Paradise Island come the Amazon contestants, but one young contestant insists on wearing a mask. Wow. I wonder who that could be. Anyways. So this woman comes. She is better than everyone else. This masked woman that nobody knows who she is better than all of them. Runs faster than even animals do. Can take a bullet, can, not necessarily take a bullet, but she can deflect the bullets with her bracelets. That's where that comes from, y'all. So she beats everyone. And her mom is like, what? It's you? Huh? I thought so. Sure you did, Mom. So, she gives her the outfit that we all know and love. And we have this little panel here. It says, and so Diana, the Wonder Woman, giving up her heritage and her right to eternal life, leaves Paradise Island to take the man she loves back to America, the land she learns to love and protect and adopts as her own. All right. So that is the first issue of Wonder Woman. And we're not going to get into Sensation Comics #1. We're not going to get into, maybe we will on another time, Wonder Woman #1. But literally, they all happen and come out months apart. Like, you can almost call it weeks. let's see here, the dates. Okay, so All-Star Comics number 8 is December 1941. Wonder Woman shows up again, like I said, in Sensation Comics number 1. That comes out in January, so like the next month. And then Wonder Woman 1 debuts 6 months later. Now, coincidentally, the first appearance of the Invisible Jet happens in Sensation Comics number 1. Little tidbit for you there. Yeah, but that is the first appearance of Wonder Woman. And why did I decide to do this here? Why? Well, there's the obvious reasons. Wonder Woman has been an icon not only back in the 40s, but throughout forever since then. You have, basically people have their own viewpoint and version of who Wonder Woman is. A lot of people look at Wonder Woman and think Linda Carter, which is who we have here. You have people that are newer to it, or just newer to movies in general, with Gal Gadot. Hi, Mary. How are you doing? Hi. You have Gal Gadot here, whom I absolutely, I was not too fond of the second movie, but I did really love the first movie, especially with that scene where she's going across no man's land, and it's very, very, very Eowyn and Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. You guys know what I'm talking about? Yeah. One of the things that made me decide to go ahead and do this is because I'm going to be getting ready for, in my whole quest to get ready for Dark Crisis that's coming, that we know is coming in the summer. I read Dark Knight's Metal, and now I'm going to be reading Dark Knight's Death Metal. It's a good thing that I'm only doing the collected edition Tuesdays every other week now, because that's going to take me a while, just like it took me a while to read Metal. Now, at the end of Death Metal, spoiler alert, Wonder Woman, basically to set things right, sacrifices herself. She dies. Diana Themyscira dies. And one of the things that you end up seeing after Death Metal is the beginning of You Did Not Like Metal. Okay, you didn't like Metal? Did you read Death Metal, Heather? I'm about ready to read Death Metal. I am pretty lukewarm involving Metal. I thought it was really complex and too complex. I felt like there were things that were not resolved, that it would have been better to resolve them and give a clear resolution to. Even if it meant that, yes, we are still going to come back to it and we still got to deal with it. There was no clear resolution to some of the items that we were dealing with there. I'm reading Death Metal 1 because it's supposed to be there's this trifecta that you have Metal, Dark Days Metal, then you have Death Metal, and then we're going to have Dark Crisis, which is something that we've been building up to through Metal, Death Metal, and everything that's been happening in this whole Infinite Frontier multiverse situation. At the end of Death Metal, basically, to save everyone's butts, to save the multiverse, everything, Diana basically sacrifices herself. She allows herself to get killed. And at the beginning of Infinite Frontier, right after Death Metal, you see her in Infinite Frontier 0. She is being entertained by the quintessence. And the quintessence is offering her, because of her great sacrifice and everything she did, a place among them. And it's basically one of those things where it's like Diana has gone throughout this whole issue, and everything's getting, everybody's getting checked in on. And she's checking in on everyone. And throughout this whole thing, she's looking at what's going on with all of her friends and everything like that. And she basically decides that she can't leave them yet. And while it is a great honor to be, I might want to plug in my PC. Can you guys hang on just one moment? I'm going to go get my plug-in. And I'll be right back. Okay, just talk amongst yourselves. Why does DC have so many freaking events? Why does DC have so many events? Talk amongst yourselves. I'll be right back. Hold on, I'm almost back, guys. Okay, I'm back. Oh, golly. Okay, hi. Sorry, I did not plan on that happening. So, Wonder Woman sacrifices herself in death metal, and she gets offered this place amongst the quintessence. And basically, we have this whole Thornton Wilder, our town kind of situation here, where she's just like, I want to see everything. I want to see everything. I want to see everyone. And that's how you kind of that's how they work in this whole introduction to everything as it is now in Infinite Frontier, which is this we had New 52, then we have Rebirth, and now we have Infinite Frontier. So they get to the point at the end of Infinite Frontier 0 where they're introducing all of this, right? And she's again offered that position, and she's like, you misunderstand me. I'm sorry, but I must decline your offer. And they're like, what did you see that brought you to this judgment, Diana? And she's like, that's just it, Spectre. You're telling me that anything is possible now, but then you want to tell me just stay here with you to just watch. You show me so many brave individuals embracing the change ahead of them, Spectre. It reminded me. When Steve Trevor washed up on the shores of Themyscira. I could have sent him back to the world of man alone, and stayed behind where I was safe with my sisters. Instead, I traveled with him to an unknown world, leaving behind my home, and all that I knew was the scariest thing I've ever done. But it was the start of a new chapter in my life, greater than I could have ever dreamed. And now I find myself on a different shore, and it's time I set sail into, and then you turn the page and it would say the infinite frontier. So then at that point, we have Diana basically going off, trying to return to Earth. And that doesn't quite work out necessarily the way it should. Unfortunately for her, we get about 9 issues of her fumbling around different afterworlds. Somehow she ends up getting dumped in Asgard, in Valhalla. And then she ends up getting transported to different types of afterworlds, then different universes. And then she finally ends up back on her own. So why is Wonder Woman important? I think everybody has their different reasons for why Wonder Woman is important. I think that she does represent exactly what William Marsden intended. The idea that women are different, but we are also the same as men. We can be just as much anything as a man can be. And plus there's naughty stuff too, because come on, there's ropes and bondage, and Wonder Woman's running around in a bikini half the time, and she's tying people up, getting them, dominating them, getting them to tell the truth. I mean, come on. So there's love, but there's naughty stuff too. So yeah, so that's about it. That is the first appearance and early history of Wonder Woman, Diana of Themyscira. Yeah, just kind of looking at the comments while I was off grabbing my my cord. Yeah, here's the thing. That's just comic books. There's just a lot of events. And it's not just DC, it's also Marvel as well. You have right now, I think I'm not big on Marvel, but you have the Devil's Reign, which is supposedly a Daredevil event. You have the fact that so in me getting back into comics, we have had Future State, DC Future State, right? We have had Fear State, dear God. We have had just the Batman detective centric Arkham Tower, Shadows of the Bat, which it's funny how often they use that goddamn name, Shadows of the Bat, or some derivative of Shadows of the Bat for any kind of title or name of an event, and they're doing it again currently. Now, to be fair, the Arkham Tower event is actually not that bad. Shadows of the Bat 2022 is actually not that bad. I'm actually enjoying that one. It's almost over, but it's been a weekly series for 12 weeks. We just got issue 11 that I have not gotten to read yet. But yeah, 12-week event. It's been weekly Detective Comics. I think they're trying to get that in before Dark Crisis happens. But even before that, they're going to have another event that's basically centered around Batman, Damian Wayne, Robin, and Deathstroke. Now, the good news is that I'm guessing, from what I'm understanding, it's all going to be written by one person. So this whole continuity error thing that happens with events is probably going to be non-existent. So there's that. But then even after that's done, we've got Justice League 75 coming next month, along with that whole, Deathstroke Batman thing. That's supposedly the death of the Justice League. Theories abound as to exactly what that is going to mean, but that's going to then carry us into Free Comic Book Day, which is going to be the beginning. I believe it's going to be referred to as Dark Crisis 0, and then we've got after that we got the event Dark Crisis, which is supposedly the mother lode in regards to stuff that was already started in metal and then continued in death metal. So much money to spend. I'm really into it though. I gotta admit, I'm really a dork for this stuff, and I'm thinking, actually, I'm going to try and do, like I was saying, I'm going to read death metal for my next collected edition Tuesday. If you haven't checked it out already and you're watching this and you're wondering what I thought of metal, then that video posted back on Tuesday. I thought that metal was one of these things where it was like, this is some really good artistry and some really good writing, but it's not quite for this medium. Yeah, it was too complex to just have in a comic book, I thought. So you can have complex in a comic book, you can, but it was too complex. It was one of those things where I needed a flow chart, and sadly there was no flow chart. But anyways, okay, so that's about it for me. Anybody have anything they want to talk about? Mary, how you doing? Mary's one of my regulars. Mary, just you came in. I don't know how late you came in, but I gotta hawk this shirt that I'm wearing here, because normally the F-bombs come out of my mouth, but right now I'm wearing it. And actually, this is a t-shirt that was designed by Heather here in the chat, and it is a design that is available if you look at some of the links I have down below. Just gonna put that out there. You don't necessarily, if you don't want to wear fuck across your chest, which not everyone is that brazen as I am to wear fuck across their chest. They have mugs. Mugs. I want a mug that says fuck your fascist beauty standards. I'm going to get one. I think I'm going to get one. Actually, yeah. And it was really funny because I pulled it out of the package, and my boyfriend was like, man, I want to wear a t-shirt that says fuck your fascist beauty standards. I want one. And it's like, do you want the t-shirt or do you want the mug? So I think he's thinking about the mug too. So we might have matching mugs eventually. Another one of the pieces that I actually really love that's available for purchase in different mediums is the Isis cat skull piece, which just knowing that one And knowing the story behind that one just, makes me want to go hold my cat that doesn't want to be held out right now, probably. It's actually just this beautiful piece where it's a cat skull, and it has a rose. It's called a Rose of Sharon. Heather, yeah, it's Heather's baby girl, Isis. But it's just it's beautiful. It's beautiful, and but she's added a lot of stuff recently. There's some cool skulls with geode eyes. I'm definitely into that too. Yeah, I love the skulls. Skulls are awesome. Who doesn't love a skull? Who doesn't love a skull? Rose of Sharon. Okay, yeah, Rose of Sharon. Okay. There's also cute black cat with pumpkin. That's Horus, I believe, right? That's Horus with the pumpkin and the oh golly, the whatchamacallit, spider. Yeah. I wonder if, let's see here. Hopefully he's still seeing me. I'm like looking at something online here. No, I don't want that. Hold on one second, guys, because this is fun. I'm having fun. And I'm trying to sell Heather's art. Can I get this to come up? This one's absolutely awesome. Let me see if I can share screen. And then you'd be able to see a Chrome tab. Let me see here. Here we go. That is awesome. That one is really awesome. I love this one. That's really awesome. Let me see here. If I'm still figuring out StreamYard and all the things that are possible with this. Yeah, here we go. This is one I was referring to with the skull with the geodes. One moment. Let's see here. See if I can get it to come on. Come on. Come up. Here we go. That is just awesome. Oh my gosh. And it's like the teeth are also like part crystal as well. That's pretty freaking cool. Yeah. So yeah, that's just a little bit of a taste of what you're looking at when you look at Heather's work. I think it's really funny that Flashback Friday and I'm hawking Heather's work when Heather herself is a flashback for me. Because a long time ago in a galaxy far away, I used to also be known as someone called Mercy Noir. Not really doing that anymore, but that's how I met Heather. And Heather was basically, I would consider Heather, considering I didn't have much interaction with anyone else in this outfit, but Heather was the creative director. Creative director. Let's go with that. Creative director of an outfit called Death Maidens, which is basically a really cool, geeky version of Suicide Girls. Thank you, Heather. It's basically it's kind of like a geeky, nerdy, horror-based version of Suicide Girls that had a lot of Heather's work with makeup and special effects makeup. And the reason I came in contact with Heather is because of my jewelry ended up on some of her models for some of her creative photo spreads. I really don't know. Is like any of that still out there anymore online, Heather? Maybe you can tell us in the comments. But yeah, it was some really cool stuff, and I think that's a good description of what Death Maidens was. Yes, and the thing is it's really funny because the reason why it's kind of full circle is because her models were wearing something I designed, and now I'm wearing something on camera that she designed. Simple as that. But yeah, I'm basically not doing Mercy Noir stuff anymore. It takes up a lot of time and a lot of money, and I think maybe I'm probably more inclined to do the whole comics thing and the whole content creation thing, and I think I've distanced myself from it a bit because I think the world has changed, and so have I. You know what? We all do. We all do. Um it was still brilliant. Um I was still jealous that I was still jealous of your creativity. I still am. Um and it's still beautiful. But you got to find joy where you do, and that's probably why it's not something that's the Mercy Noir thing is something that I really do a lot of at all anymore. I think that pretty much just kind of ended right at the beginning of the pandemic, and oh, thank you. Um, and I think there's one last hurrah in me. Possibly it's gonna be one of those things where it's I have to I'm looking towards basically doing the whole big sale of everything that still exists. So if you're out there in YouTube land and you like edgy jewelry, slightly possibly disturbingly beautiful, keep a lookout. I'll be sure to mention when I finally do get everything back up for sale again, and hopefully we can clear this out, and maybe you'll inspire me to keep doing it. Who knows? Here's the thing. Yes, this is the. I was thinking about this earlier today. Back when I started Mercy Noir, people would ask me, like, because they would think it would be one of these things that I would be kind of inclined to do. Comic themed jewelry, comic book themed jewelry. And I never quite got there with that. Or a magic girdle. I did those full torso pieces. Like, what if I did something that was kind of like a belt? And yeah, maybe, yeah. If I did something that was kind of like like instead of handling from here up, handle from like here down. Oh man, yeah. An ideal may have been born. But yeah, for the most part, it's not happening because it's just I do have the photography, I have the writing, I have this. This is a huge part of my creation now. Yeah, those Honestly, I sat there with the torso ones that I made, and when I decided to do that, it was like, it was like I was kind of going for kind of a rib cage kind of thing. I was kind of going for a number of different things. Um, and it really just kind of happened. Yeah. Wheels are always turning in my head, Heather. The wheels are always turning, whether it's for good or bad. Whether it's for good or evil, the wheels always turn in my head. Sometimes at great expense for my pocketbook, actually. Um, I've become like horribly obsessed with comic books, and I buy a lot of them. Um, if I was to make a return to making jewelry, it would probably be. Oh yeah, no, I'm thinking of that one in particular, Heather. I am definitely thinking of that one in particular. Um, I believe the two torso pieces that I made for you was one um, really early on, and then the one for the Christmas Carol. Um, shoot, yes, that one was one of my favorites as well. Yes, I still have. God, what was it? Christmas Christmas Past with the feathers in the back. I still have that one. Yeah, um, I still have that one. Every once in a while, if I feel like wearing jewelry, I'll wear it. Yeah. If I were to ever get back into jewelry, it'd probably end up being comic themed, especially like because different comic book characters definitely end up getting um, synonymous with color schemes. Like for instance, like right here, like red and black. And who does? And believe me, if there was a color scheme that I jumped onto, that was red and black. But like definitely like Harley, red and black. Yeah, I happen to have Harley Quinn books everywhere. Everyone, you know what? If I ever get into it, you will be one of the first people I talk to about that. Definitely, definitely. Now, the question would be is do you have any intentions of doing any comic book art? You do have horror themed art. That's another thing. You have horror themed art. Your horror ladies of horror pinups come to mind, of course, especially your Bride of Frankenstein. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could see. Man, that would be cool. That would be cool. Wheels are turning. Get back into comics? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, I would imagine you would first get into comics again. Then I would try to eventually finish writing my scripts for my comic book, and then I would somehow convince you to draw one of my comic books. Probably, yeah. Some character painting, yes, yeah. I gotta first finish my script though, so yeah. A girl in her dystopian urban fantasy. Gotta get it done. Well, the thing is there's different ways that you can get into it, though. Okay, like I wasn't intending on turning this stream about Wonder Woman into how do we get into comics nowadays, but um, there's different ways that you can get into it, and there's one of the things I would suggest. It is too much money at the moment, and you know how you get around that. One, you get around that by focusing on not individual issues, but getting collected editions. One. Two, see if you're one of these people that has been into it before, but is now going to get back into it. Specifically, if you're looking to get into the content of a particular publisher. So, say for instance, I'm pretty heavy on the DC side of things, and I can tell you right now that I get a lot of use out of. Let me see if it comes up on this. Yeah. I get a lot of use out of DC Infinite. Um, yes. Be careful with Saga. I've heard some stuff. I follow a lot of people that absolutely loved the first 50 something issues of Saga. I have not partaken in Saga. You know, and yeah, here's the thing. I've not partaken in Saga, one, because it's Image, and two, because, well, that's a lot of issues um, to get into before trying to read it again. I have attitude about Image comics right now. Um, yeah, so they've got two of the new run out. And what I found a lot of people were saying about it, of the two new issues, was that they felt like it had gotten built up in their heads for the return, and they've been wishing and hoping and dreaming, and then it got built up in their heads that it was going to return, and all this build up and excitement, and then they read it, and it was just kind of like they felt a little bit let down by it. And then there's the whole thing that there's a little bit of people are not quite sure the intention that Brian K. Vaughan is going with at this point. And it'll be interesting to see probably where that goes, to see what his intention is here, because what I heard about the last issue was there was a lot of people that were very concerned about that. But you got to experience it for yourself. And that's why I'm kind of tiptoeing around what I do know about what happens. So Fiona Staples, is that the artist? I'm trying to remember. Because that art is absolutely fantastic. The art, what I've seen, the art reminds me of the kind of artist that I would want for the art that I would want hands down for my book, for at least one of my books. I have a few ideas. I have the chemist. Yeah, she's the artist. Okay. I have the chemist, which is what I'm currently working on, and then I have more of a a rom-com kind of idea. Very high fidelity. And then I have one that is it's a concept of uh, it's called Final Girls Training Camp, where you have a sister team that this is the concept that I came up with. You have one of the sisters is watching late night TV, and she sees an ad for Final Girls Training Camp, and she's into her and her sister are into horror movies um, and true crime and everything, and she's like, no, we're doing this, like we're gonna go to the Final Girls Training Camp. Well, what happens is it's when they get there, it's an actual camp. They get there, and then the actual murders start happening. So it is a horror slasher kind of thing, but meta. um, and that's one of the ideas that I have that I have not started writing on yet, except for just right the beginning moment of the entire thing where uh the main character is watching TV and she sees the ad. um the Chemist is a dystopian urban setting. um Strong female lead. Did I watch? I did not. I did not. um I don't currently have Amazon Prime right now. I'm spending a lot of money on a few things. Um, oh yeah, which one? The Final Girls training the Final Girls training camp. Yeah, that's I really love that idea, and I'm just trying to get my feet wet with the Chemist before I try and tackle that further. The Chemist is a concept that I had been working on um, in different mediums and abandoning it each time because it didn't feel right. Um, Different mediums, different settings, and abandoning it um, and walking it back and just fledgling on it. It's a concept that I believe in. Um, and it's heavily inspired by society, because it is a dystopian urban setting, military dystopian urban, um, and the main characters actually live where I live. Yeah, so the Chemist is going to follow a young woman who um, has grown up in a uh, basically a military regime version of the United States. Um, might not be ready for anyone yet to tackle art on. I'm still kind of holding it a little bit tighter than I probably should. Um, but she's growing up. Her name's Eddie. Eddie is short for Ethne Abigail Warren, and she is grew up in a military. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, when she grows up in a military um, dystopian martial law rule in the United States, and her parents her father definitely actively is a part of a resistance rebellion. And in the first issue, he's leading a supply run to the north to Canada, and he is presumed dead from injuries and from basically getting killed by the militarized government. That all happens in the first issue, okay? And when she's there and they find out about this, her mother gives her this set of notebooks and says, you need to hide these and keep these safe. And not long after they find out that her father has been killed, basically they come to arrest her mother. And they send her to a convent because she's still underage. And the convent is going to raise her the rest of the next couple years. And you end up finding out that these notebooks contain chemical compounds and different, it's like a chemist cookbook. It's like an anarchist cookbook kind of situation here, where it's like it's like a grimoire book of shadows, but for a chemist. And her mother is the original chemist, and she has no idea that her mother was so tied in with this rebellion. Because as far as she was concerned, her mother didn't have anything to do with it. It was all her father. And she decides that because they took her mother, because as far as she knows, they killed her father, that she is going to become the next chemist when she's able. And when you find out, like, there's this really cool moment that I wrote already, where you find out that this particular convent is kind of like a double agent. Like the Mother Superior and the entire the entire convent are leading the military powers to believe that they're on their side, when really these nuns are on the side of the rebellion. So when Eddie shows up after her mother's been taken from her, after her father's been presumably killed, she is there and finds out more about her mother, and then finds out that this whole resistance thing is also that the nuns are a part of the resistance thing, because they're ticked off. And it's the whole thing about that. But yeah, enough about my upcoming writing and how I'll never get to it. But that is something, that a concept that I've been writing and planning and working on for a while. But I'm going to go ahead, and we're going to go ahead and end this, because I've been here for almost 2 hours now. Thank you. It started out as a novel, and it started out as a high fantasy novel, the concept. And then it became a more urban fantasy novel. And then I was like, no, I think this is a comic. I think this is graphic novel or a comic book. So then I started reorganizing it to go that way. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see if it works out, and then I'll figure out if I'm worthy of the Final Girls training camp story or not. So, but okay. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the show and enjoyed the first appearance of Wonder Woman and the story of Professor Marsden and his Wonder Women. Yeah, I hope it inspired you to go read some Wonder Woman. We've got, actually, speaking of DC events, we've got a Wonder Woman event going on right now, Trial of the Amazons. We are only just a few issues into that. It's not going to be a really long thing, but check it out at your local comic book shop. And it's an actual Wonder Woman event. Usually they're all like Batman events or Superman events. This is a Wonder Woman event. So check it out. Okay, so that has been the officially unofficial Geek Channel's Flashback Friday first appearance of Wonder Woman, and the little bit about Professor Marsden and his Wonder Women. So thanks for coming, guys. Thanks for being in the chat. Check out the links below. Check out Heather's art. Buy a t-shirt, buy a mug, buy whatever. Buy all the things. And let me know you did, so that I can tell her to look out for the money, because we're all starving artists here, people. We all rather be doing this. But anyways, thanks, guys. Have a great weekend. You'll be seeing me with the officially unofficial Geek Channel Spoiler-tastic weekly comic roundup on Sunday. Gotta go read some comics. It'll be fun. Yeah, and as always, What's Happening Wednesday with Joe. Joe does What's Happening Wednesday with me, and that will be back next week as well. We've been only doing the Flashback Friday and Collected Edition Tuesdays every other week. Since I did it this week, we won't be having it next week, but then we'll return the following week with that. But in the meantime, like, comment, share, tell me what you thought. Those of you out there in YouTube land, about Wonder Woman's first appearance, what you think of the origins. And until later, I'll be seeing you guys. Bye.